It's an exciting experiment.
Come here, Paulie. Mr. Wade, how you doing, sir?
Oh, fine.
Good.
Fine.
So what you been up to, buddy? Look at the camera.
Working, saving money, drinking.
Lisa White just phoned. And she's coming over with Marty and the guys.
Woo! Lisa White.
Are you going to play with her this evening?
I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
Ah, you fucking son.
Is it late on or what?
It's fucking going.
Yeah, John and Jim are on their way over.
Yeah. So, Paul?
John Rice 2 years afterwards.
Hey!
You came out with senior.
Same stupid
Yeah.
Eric, I heard you're a father now.
Yes.
How old is the child?
Almost 5 months old.
Well, I haven't seen her yet.
I got a video of her.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to come over sometime and check out the little one.
Little tyke.
Amazing, man. So what you got there? A Panasonic camcorder?
No, this is from work. Borrowed it from work.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you again, Paul.
Yeah, good to see you, bud.
Good for
But no, it really is so nice to see all of you. Kind of hit me when some of you walked in the door. You know, what great friends you've been to Paul over the years. And a lot of my friends have been very supportive of and caring and asking about Paul and how he was doing, knowing that he was having some troubles in his life. There's a nice feeling that he did leave and touch a lot of you with his kind spirit that he did have in his body. I'm very proud that I am Paul's brother. I think Jack especially looks a lot like Paul. So we'll always be reminded of that. And, you know, it really gives me a great sense of community here in Victoria when I see all of your faces that are so familiar. And very grateful once again for you all coming out. So, thank you. I have a little thing that I'd kind of like to share with you too. That's a little Buddhist chant that's been around since 1200. It kind of seems a little fitting right now. And it just goes like this. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander your life. Thank you, everybody. If anybody else would like to come up and say anything, they can certainly do that, and that would be very welcome. Eric, that would be great. Okay, we'll do that.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric Tolman. When I came here I kept thinking to myself that I should have something written down, and actually the last couple of days I've been thinking how much I want to write something down, but actually I've decided that, you know what, that's probably not a good idea, because I spend much of my life writing things down and planning things out, and what I wanted to do is just get up here and say exactly what came from my heart and what came out of my mouth. And so I thought, what was I going to talk about? Well, there's so much to talk about, but I had not seen Paul for quite some time, and you know, I'm now living with a certain amount of regret and guilt for that. But I want to tell you about the time I met Paul, because that's kind of an interesting story. When Paul came to Lake Hill in September of '78, which was his grade 6 school year, he was in the other class, the other grade 6 class, and all the girls were talking about this guy named Paul. And I thought, who the heck does this Paul guy think he is coming out here? And all the girls are talking about him. And I thought, I don't like this guy, you know, because he's taking attention away from me and all the other guys. And I remember there was this kind of uneasy, awkward tension, like, geez, who is this guy? All the girls are talking about Paul. And so you kind of set yourself up for a situation where you're just not going to like this guy. You know, he's it's competition or something. But when I met him, I have to keep in mind that Paul was in our grade, but he's about a year and a half older than us. So he was that much older and that much more mature. And so I think when we met him, I mean, it was hard not to like the guy right away because he wasn't a tough guy. He was gentle, he was kind-hearted, and he was very good-looking. I mean, in hindsight, I can say that now, in my mid-40s. He was a strikingly good-looking guy. So I could kind of understand why the girls liked him. And then I began to realize that, geez, I like this guy. And, geez, maybe if I hang out with him, the girls will like me too. I mean this quite honestly. This is how Paul was, and we spent a lot of time together. And there's, you realize now, here we are, 35 years later, how your relationships with people ebbs and it flows, and I have such incredibly fond memories of Paul, particularly in grade 8 when we all went to Reynolds. We went to Reynolds together. I ended up moving out to Gordon Head for grade 9, and interestingly enough, Paul moved out to Gordon Head as well, just after that, right down the road from me, on the same street as me on Laval, which was great. But the best way to describe Paul was, I think that even as a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, there was something very magnetic about him. And like I say, he wasn't magnetic because he was intimidating. He was magnetic because he was a good soul. He really was a really tremendously decent guy. And because he was that much older than me, I always felt when I hung out with him on weekends that he was looking out for me, that he would always protect me, and that he just exuded a really positive energy. Even people that didn't know him, that may have brief contacts with him, could not deny the fact that he had just a natural, simple charm, and that to me is what I'm going to miss more than anything. Is just his warmth, his simple kindness, and I still hear his laugh. He loved to laugh, and so those are the things that I'll remember. I could talk for a long time. We did a lot of things that probably are best not discussed at this point. But nonetheless, I'm very thankful, Gary, to have this opportunity to talk about Paul and to think about him. And I must admit, it really didn't hit me until I walked in the room. And when you hear something of this magnitude, you hear it, but you don't process it. And now I'm beginning to process it. It's great seeing so many people that I haven't seen, and there are people here I haven't seen in 32 years. So that's quite overwhelming too. So anyway, thank you very much, and we'll talk to everybody individually, hopefully. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Randy. I met Paul about 33 years ago, and a similar experience to Eric, although mine was a little later on. So I know some of the people that are here have known Paul a little longer than I have, and it's nice to see everybody come together and how he's touched people's lives the way he has. My relationship with Paul in the past few years has been somewhat closer than it had been in the past. And his friendship is tremendously valued by myself, because I'd actually want to read something on paper, and I'll read it with my heart as best I can. It's just that I haven't been writing things down all my life like Eric has. And I'm going to read this, what I wrote. And, Paul, I first met him in high school over 30 years ago. I feel grateful to have known Paul David Wade as a friend. Anyone who has been around Paul long enough would recognize he loved sports, especially baseball and boxing. Paul's real passion was boxing, though. I loved to hear him talk about it because it made him happy. When we were kids, Paul rode me on his bicycle handlebars to go to the local JC boxing club. And I felt like he was my big brother, and he was looking out for me. Sadly, Paul's ambition for training stopped after his terrible accident on a motorbike. that left him in a coma for a month. Family and friends were delighted he survived, but he was never able to box after that. Paul continued to be a compassionate friend. He was always there, willing to listen and share a laugh. Paul would rarely come to you with his own problems, though. He seemed strong on the outside to most people, but he was actually very sensitive and also showed an unselfish desire for other people's welfare, but often felt helpless in his own situation. I know Paul valued his friendships with longtime buddies and often talked about his memories with Rod Bench, Brian Starkey, Richard Langley, the Bear, Mike Meir, and Eric Tolman, Dale Leibel, etc. Unfortunately, Paul's accident left him with frequent seizures, sometimes several in a day, and we saw him suffer a great deal. Paul shared his faith about the Lord Jesus Christ and his belief many times. He looked for the good and good qualities in all the people he knew and he worked with. Although he was taken from us, I will remember Paul as a dear friend and will honor him for his compassion, his joy, and the loyalty of my friend. Bless his mother, Evelyn Slade, his brother Gary, Winnie Penfett.
Thank you, Craig. That's awesome. Yeah, a little something else came to my mind to share with you. I know that Paul, he was able to enjoy simple things in life. Like he really just enjoyed a bicycle ride, a walk, listening to his music, or just laying in the sun. And he's taught me a lot of lessons in life. You know, he always looked up to me, but kind of ironically, I'm kind of looking up to him now. I really can't get over how grateful I am to you all for coming today. So thank you. And if anybody else would like to come up, they may. We're going to have some sandwiches and stuff come out, and we just invite you to just hang out and enjoy each other's company. So, and I'd like to speak with some more of you, in the next little while too, before we have to leave. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Starkey, and I was a very good friend of Paul's. He was the first friend I had when I moved into Orangewood Manor, and Paul and Gary and Lynn had just moved in there prior to that. I think Randy and Eric have both hit the hammer on the nail by saying how we looked up to him, how he was like a brother. Maybe that's because he was a little older, but he just had that "I'll take care of you" type of attitude. When our first day of school, everyone had thought we were brothers, I guess because we had gone and then we went home and went back to school, living in the same building. And Eric had mentioned earlier too that there was this sense of who's Paul Wade and how popular he was, and so it almost became a competition to see who could hang out with Paul more, because then he would become more popular. And so, yeah, I mean, really, what's been said is true. He was very loyal, although he was soft-spoken to most people. He had a heart of gold, and he always looked out for people, and he cared for everyone. And yes, he loved his sports, and And he was just a genuine person with I don't know what else to say. I mean, he was a great guy. I'm not very good at this, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
It's just so nice to hear Paul's friends come up and speak. I always knew he had good friends in you guys, and when you guys walked in the door tonight, it really shook me. Because I just know how much he did love you guys, and that you guys were so tight, so I'm very grateful for you guys to come up and speak today. Thank you. That's it.
All right, you're on. And you are?
Hi there, I'm Colin Fowler. I would have met Paul Wade, I guess around grade 6 at Lake Hill School when he came to Lake Hill. I always remember Paul. Paul always had a big smile on his face. He used to come in the morning on his bike, ride his bike in from Orangewood Manor, and come in. I always just thought Paul was just a great guy. Hung around with Eric and Brian all the time, and those guys were inseparable. But Paul just loved the guy's enthusiasm and just his way of life. And gonna miss him.
Hi, my name is Mike Merritt. I met Paul when we were going to Lake Hill School. He was a new arrival with Brian and himself, and as Eric said, he was a bit, he was instantly popular, but I just remember a lot of funny things too. Like I think Brian had a jealous streak on him where Paul had a beauty mark, which was a mole, and the girls were swooned by that, and him himself. And from there, Brian would cut out a big black piece of, of art paper. It started small, but it was pretty soon because Brian was a ham also. It was about that big, and he was walking around the class saying, "I'm Paul Wade." Well, from that, it's just special memories like that, which were combined in a group setting, because I think everyone had a good liking of Paul, and I was glad that I got to know him also. That's about it.
Perfect.
Hi, my name's Lisa. Paul Wade and I go back about 32 years to Orangewood Manor, grade 7 at Lake Hill School. I was really lucky to have Paul as a friend as well as all the guys. And later on in life, Paul and I went out on a couple of dates, and I just happened to think that he was the most handsome man I've ever met. His beautiful smile and his dimples and his sparkly eyes. And he was a friend to everyone, as well as a very good kisser. And he'll be missed. Love you, Paul.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I met Paul when I moved to town from Colwood in the middle of grade 6, just like he moved into then. I just remember Paul as a real fun-loving, carefree, good soul person, and it's been a lot of years. We didn't keep in touch by any means, but we were friends back then, and I wanted to make sure that I came today and my condolences and be a part of this day for him.
Thank you for coming.
Take care.
I met Paul through you, Eric, and always found him a very kindred spirit. I think just focus on the good that I remember. When I read the obit in the Times Columnist a few days ago, it said he's got a heart of gold, and I think that really sums up Paul. He's a guy that soft-spoken, very kind, and a gentle human being. I've had the benefit of living abroad, of traveling fairly extensively, and experiencing a whole lot of different people, and I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. and I've come to the conclusion that people are generally good, but there are some people that just have something special. They're more good, have more goodness in their heart than others. I think Paul was one of those guys who just exuded, cheerfulness, goodness, and what more can you say? You guys said it very well up there on the podium. I do want to read one thing. I came across a quote, and I think it's quite fitting. Sort of speaks to the almost sort of wild spirit that Paul also had, an aspect, in his, especially his motorbike days before the accident. It's a quote that comes from Jack Kerouac's On the Road. And he said, what is that feeling when you're driving away from people and they recede on the plane till you see their specks disappearing? It's that too, huge world vaulting us, and it's goodbye. But we lean forward to the next crazy venture beneath the skies. So Paul, wherever you are, lean forward and good luck on your next adventure. You're on.
Yeah, I met Paul mid-80s. Basically, he hung around with other friends I knew, and it just sort of snowballed, like things like that in life. What we used to do mainly was go to the Elk Lake and party on my boat and things like that. They're all older teenagers at the time, which is fine. And we even got the odd camping trip in. And actually, I don't know if we went snow skiing. I just don't remember, that's all. But I knew we did some neat stuff like that. Oh yeah, mountain biking, back for what was happening in those days. I remember going on our 10 speeds, riding around from basically where he used to live to my house.
Yeah.
Him and Starkey and me used to go in summertime, and wintertime mainly we used to go back to my place, party and watch vids and etc. Play the old Pac-Man video games and things like that.
So what was it that you liked about Paul? Like, what are qualities of his character that you'd say were appealing?
He was young, energetic, but he had that little bit of sense of maturity about him. That's the good part, And you could rely on him for certain things, and he would listen to you. If you had a story about something funny or something serious, he would listen to you.
Yeah.
That was a neat
He was
thing.
a very good listener.
Yes, right, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Derek.
That's about it. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Yeah. Just tell him how you met him, and tell me something about his character.
Well, basically, I met Paul through Gary, and the funny thing was when I was talking to one of the guys who grew up with, Scott Frere, lives in Vancouver now. I was telling him what went on with Paul, and he said, one thing about Paul is when you talk to him, he seemed really sincere and a really nice-natured, really soft-spoken, good guy, and you really got that feeling when you talk to him. And I just found it ironic that Scott Frere, that hasn't seen him in probably 25 years, would say that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I said, Scott, that's true. That's the type of guy he was, right? He's a really good guy, and I think Gary's success is through work and whatever. He has the same type of personality as Paul did. That people attract to that person, and that's part of the reason that Gary does well, because of that soft-spoken and people like him.
Yeah, good people skills.
Yeah, good people skills.
Awesome.
So, that's basically it. What I knew about Paul. Every time I met him, he was a real sincere, nice guy. When I ran into him, maybe once a year in the last 15-20 years through Gary or whatever, he hadn't changed. Yeah, just a good guy.
Even though he was having problems. And
you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it.
No.
When he worked for Gary and we'd stop by, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
Yeah. Good. Thanks,
Right now.
My name's Greg Wyatt. Best friends with Gary Wade, and I met Paul back, it's got to be probably 25 years ago, or at least 25 years ago. He came to work for us, and it's kind of a funny story actually. I put him to work on a little project burning some tree branches. told him to keep a hose handy in case it got too far out of control, and came back about an hour later and he was standing there watching the fire, and it was burning pretty high. In fact, it was getting close to some Douglas firs that were there, and I didn't want to jump in and start yelling or anything, but I said, well, you got to wet that thing down right now. So he did, calmed it down. I said, you know, you got to really watch these things because it's pretty dry. We had a burning permit and everything, but he was funny to look on his face. And then some of the stories that he came up with, you know, we talked about boxing and stuff. He'd be pretty upset, I think, the other day when Manny Pacquiao got his belt taken away from him there unexpectedly. It was a bad call by the judges. He'd be upset about that.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. We had a lot of fun. Hardest worker, one of the hardest workers I ever had work with. Yeah, liked him a lot. I think Gary and I had a good talk the other day, and I think, you know, Paul had some medical issues that were really troubling him. I think now he's free of that. I don't know where to go, but I know he's probably a hell of a lot happier. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Carol, lives with us and family friend, and Paul was one of my close friends through his mother and his brother. We had many good laughs. He is my Charlie Sheen. I was his Carol Ann. We teased each other about our names, and he was just a fun-loving young man that was lost, and he's found. Love you, Paul, and Lynn.
You're good to go?
Well, hi, I first met Paul at Gary's house when his dad came over from England for a holiday. And the first time I met Paul, as I was sitting everybody else around here, I liked him immediately because he was such a nice guy, he was a sincere kind of guy. He gave me his full attention, and it just felt as if I'd known him for years, you know. And I just liked him immediately. And every time I met him after that, which was only maybe a half a dozen times, but every time he was so friendly, polite, and nice to talk to that I just liked the guy immediately. And I'm so sorry that he's gone because we miss him a lot. And yeah, he was a great guy.
It's amazing how he had that impression of so many of us.
He did, and when you were talking up there, I said that's exactly how I felt about the guy too. You know?
Yeah.
He was so nice, and yeah, I'm going to miss him. Although I didn't see much of him, I'm going to miss him not being there when Gary has everybody over. Paul not being there because I used to like to sit beside him and talk to him, you know, and I'm going to miss that.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Starkey. I met Paul Wade in the summer of 1978. He was the first friend I met when I moved into a new building, and we had gone to school together up at Lake Hill. I knew him for 34 years. He was a great friend and a loyal friend. We rode bikes together, camped, did lots of sporting activities, always had lots of fun, and he was like a big brother to me and to many other friends that we have. And he will be greatly missed.
All right, and you are?
My name is Randy Hume, a very close friend with Paul, David Wade, and extended family. The first time I met Paul was first day of grade 8 in high school. I previously had heard about him, but I had never met him. I heard him through another mutual friend of ours, which was one of my neighbors, Mike Love. I said, oh, you got to meet this guy, Paul. He's really cool. And he seemed like if Mike looked up to him, and I thought, oh, okay. And then first day of grade 8, I had my chance to meet Paul. Not exactly if we were introduced or we just happened to be sitting beside each other and started talking, but that's how it worked out. He invited me home to his apartment where he was living with his mother and brother, Gary and Evelyn, and we had lunch. And it was nice to have somebody at school that I could have as a companion, but also share his experience. And he previously had friends from other schools, another school that was going around as well. So it was like an immediate group of friends. So that carried me through those high school years.
What were some of the qualities? You said them in your speech so perfectly well.
Oh, when Paul, he was intimidating for me in the beginning because he's very kind of over-responsible in the sense that he was, I wouldn't say overly clean, but he was always adamant about, you'd be at his place or something. Don't put your beer on the table. He's a coaster man.
Yeah.
Or,
he was a clean food. Tidy food.
He looked after his possessions, and that's something that I really admired. Like he really cared for what he owned and had respect in that sense. So he was older, and it showed in his maturity. And he was a good friend to have to look up to.
Okay. My name's Eric Tolman. I met Paul September, October 1978, grade 6. And actually met Brian the same time because I believe, Brian, you guys moved into Orchard Manor that summer. And you guys were already friends before you came to Lake Hill?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Brian was in my class with Miss Perkins and Miss Penny, but Paul wasn't. Paul was in the other class. And I can't say I really remember the exact moment I met him. I just, as I said in the earlier speech, remember hearing about him and being quite jealous about who this guy was, taking all the chicks away. And of course, when I met him, I liked him right away. And it's strange for kids that age to be mature enough to recognize when somebody is, a good person or a good role model. But Paul was very much like that. And I could talk for hours. And Brian and I will have to sit down and have some beers and tell stories. Boy, we got lots.
Definitely.
Oh, so much. But, he was a very kind person, very warm, sincere. When you spoke to him, he looked at you and he listened attentively. And I think that's a quality that you don't see in a lot of people. Usually if you have a conversation with someone, they may show interest for a little bit and they look away and that's it. But you always felt like Paul was really listening and he actually really valued what it was you had to say. And I think that was probably one of the things about his character I think were really remarkable. That's pretty much it.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Eric.
Cheers.